Hello Saints, welcome in for another midweek video. Today I wanted to look at just a few verses in Galatians 4. Paul is writing to this church because he's bewildered because they have changed their stance. They've begun to try to exercise works-based righteousness. And he writes them and he says, you know that I stayed with you and preached the gospel to you because I had a bodily ailment. Now, we don't know, no one knows what that bodily ailment was. He had some kind of a sickness or some condition, but it caused him to have to stay, and he preached to them. And he said, at one point, you would have gouged out your eyes for me. And now you're turning to this other crowd who is promoting works-based righteousness. And he's just bewildered is really what it is. He says, let me just read he says, verse 16, have I then become your enemy by telling you the truth? They, this other group of people, make much of you, but for no good purpose. They have an agenda is what he's saying. They want to shut you out that you may make much of them. It is always good to be made much of for a good purpose. And not only when I am present with you, my children, and here's where I want to focus on, for whom I am again in the anguish or the travail of childbirth, until Christ is formed in you. And he said, I wish I could be there with you and change my tone a little bit because I am perplexed by you. The key phrase, I am, as your apostle, as your leader, as your friend, I am in travail with, like a woman would be in childbirth, until Christ is formed in you. He's obviously hinting that they're not very Christ-like. The formation of Jesus Christ in our lives is needed for us to fully express Christ to the earth. You know, we can tell them about him. We can tell the world about Jesus, and we should continue to do that. But it's like one of the gospel songs a number of years ago said, some people need Jesus with skin on. To communicate the character and the message of Jesus to those around us, it's important that he shape us, that he form us, and that at some point Christ is formed in us, that he would fashion us into the image and the mold. The New English Bible says, until you take the shape of Christ. And that's the goal. All the teaching that we hear, all of the Bible studies that we do, all of the songs that we sing, all of the church services we attend, all of the small group Bible studies we attend, all the fellowship we have with brothers and sisters, all of that is extremely vital to the Christian life. But where does it head? What is the ultimate goal? Well, the ultimate goal is that all of that adds up to our taking the shape of Christ, or Christ being formed in us. This is a process. We'll deal with that later. And until Christ is formed in me, 2 Corinthians 4:10, Paul writes, so that the life of Jesus may be clearly shown in our bodies. All of the stuff, all the trappings, all the things we do, they're not just to give us information. They're not just to make us feel good. Oh, it's nice to feel good. But they're intended that the life of Jesus might be clearly shown and clearly seen in our lives. It's not going to happen unless Jesus works and forms us into his image. We must be able to allow Jesus Christ to live in us and through us, Galatians 2:20, rather than our own impersonation of him. Now, this is where we get into the area sometimes that we need to be careful. We mix allowing the character of God to be worked in us with our trying to impersonate Jesus. This is a little bit of the flaw of the what would Jesus do movement. Nothing wrong with asking the question, what would Jesus do? But I need to do Jesus because he's working his character in me, not because I'm trying to impersonate him. It takes the work of God in our hearts. And the question we ask is this: if Christ can be seen in me, and if Christ can be seen in you, then Christ can be seen in us. And if Christ can be seen in us, then the world can see God's glory. You see why it's so important that we allow the character and the work of Christ to take place. Jeremiah, or actually Isaiah, said, "Now, O Lord, you are our Father. We are the clay and you are our potter. And all of us are the work of your hands." We are clay in the hands of the Father. Conclusions, and of course this is abbreviated. We must submit to the process if it's going to be effective. We must allow God to do his work in us. We can't, as Isaiah 45 says, we can't argue with the maker and say, "What are you doing? Do you have any idea what you're doing?" We can't argue with him. We also must view the process of molding us as a positive and a productive element in our world. Peter said, "In this you greatly rejoice, even though now for a little while, if necessary, you've been distressed by various trials." The process, and this is very important, so listen carefully, the process does not mean we have been deserted by God. Because when God is putting you through the ringer, he's squeezing you and putting you through the fire, sometimes you think, "Well, where's God? What have I done to make God mad?" Paul writes in Romans 8, he said, "Nothing can separate us from the love of God. Not tribulation, not famine," and he goes through this list of adverse circumstances. None of that. So I'm going to tell you that when you're going through a time or a difficult time, it doesn't mean God has deserted you. But rather he is molding you and shaping you so that 2 Corinthians 3:18 says that we are being transformed into his likeness. Now, it's life experiences that do that. It's life experiences and living our lives that causes the character and the nature of Jesus Christ to be evident in our lives. The process that we go through helps us to move ourselves out of the way. If you find yourself in that time when you're up against it, you will run to Jesus, you will cry out to the Father, and you will realize that it's not about you, and you'll get yourself out of the way. The process of molding us and shaping us squeezes us all in the right places and affects us in the right way. Peter said, "Don't be surprised when that fiery ordeal comes on you, because it's on you for your testing." Of course, we consider it strange when adversity comes. We immediately begin to think, "What did I do wrong? Where did I miss it?" And it's not always the case. And lastly, the process of God forming us and conforming us produces in us a steadfastness. James wrote that in his letter, that testing produces steadfastness. It produces constancy. It produces stability. And the more of a crucified life and the life of Christ is lived through us, the more complete we are. And the more complete we are, the more Christ is being formed in us. And I pray, just as Paul prayed for the church of Galatia, I pray for you, anyone and everyone watching this video. I pray that through the process of life and living, that Christ would continue to be formed in you. For you understand, the only arrival of that, the only completion of that, is when we leave here and go meet him in heaven. Now you have a good day and a good week, and go out there and act like somebody.